Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharadhari Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Padavachakacharya still to this with the Shishimada's divine grace. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavachakacharya still to this with the Shishimada's divine grace. Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja Ki Jai. Ananta Guri Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Garanga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 21, entitled Conversation Between Manu and Kardama. Okay. Priyavratotana Pado. Priyavratotana Pado. Sutta Swayambhuvashavai. Sutta Swayambhuvashavai. Yata dharmam jugupatu. Yata dharmam jugupatu. Sapta dvipavatim mahem. Sapta dvipavatim mahim. Priyavratotana pado. Sutta swayambhuvashavai. Yata dharmam jugupatu. Sapta dvipavatim mahim. Others? Others? Vaishnavis. Priyavrata, Maharaj Priyavrata, Uttanapado, and Maharaj Uttanapada. Suto, the two sons, Swayambhuvasya of Swayambhuva Manu. By, indeed, Yata, according to, Dharmam, religious principles, Bhrgupati ruled, Saptadvipa Vatem, consisting of 7 islands, Mahim, the world. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The 2 great sons of Swayambhuva Manu, Priyavrata and Uttanapada, ruled the world, consisting of 7 islands, just according to religious principles. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is also a history of the great rulers of different parts of the universe. In this verse, the names of Priyavrata and Uttanapada, the sons of Swayambhuva, are mentioned. They ruled this earth, which is divided into 7 islands. These 7 islands are still current as Asia, Europe, Africa, America, Australia, and the North and South Poles. There is no chronological history of all the Indian kings in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but the deeds of the most important kings, such as Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and many others, like Lord Ramachandra and Maharaj Yudhisthira, are recorded because the activities of such pious kings are worth hearing. People may benefit by studying their histories. Om Gana Timarandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurimuritamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dirapti Swaparantikam. So, purport is the commentary of our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So, he starts off his purport or commentaries by saying the Srimad Bhagavatam is also a history of the great rulers of different parts of the universe. Actually, even before I start formally speaking on the verse, I'd like to welcome our guests. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. We're honored that you visit us and are interested to learn about what we're doing here, our philosophy, our tradition, etc. Thank you, Father Clooney, an old friend already, for coming for many, many years, bringing different groups. Most of you are new, right? Who was here last year as well? Just Father Clooney? Okay, yeah, the leaders and there's some new recruits. Okay, nice. Well, I hope that I'm able to say something about Krishna consciousness that'll help you understand what we're all about, and that you have an overall good experience this morning. Okay, so as I started to say, Srimad Bhagavatam is also a history of the great rulers of different parts of the universe. That's how our spiritual master starts off his commentary here. So, saying it's also a history, well, what is it in the first place? What is the Srimad Bhagavatam? The Srimad Bhagavatam is a Vedic literature. It's one of many Vedic literatures, and the purpose of the Vedic literatures, I'm going to say something about that. I'm going to read a couple sentences from a book here, which kind of describes that. It says, the Bhagavad Purana, which is another name for the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Mahabharata, which you may have heard of, the Ramayana, are three important works in the Vedic tradition of India. They are known as Hindu religious scriptures. Also the Bhagavad Gita. You might be familiar with the Bhagavad Gita. That's probably the most famous of all the Vedic literatures. It says, but they should not be regarded as simply mythology. Their real value lies in the fact that they reveal in detail a completely different way of seeing the world and living in it, which was followed for thousands of years by a highly developed human civilization. Okay, so what is that different way of seeing the world and living in it? Well, there are many points there, but the most important point, it presents a way of understanding the world as an opportunity for us to reestablish our eternal relationship with God, so that at the end of this lifetime we can be free from this. When we give up this body, when our present current material body is finished, that we become established, or we can associate with God in an eternal spiritual body composed of knowledge and bliss. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly, and the Vedic literatures in general, are trying to give human beings information about how they can achieve that goal, right? Another one of the Vedic literatures is called the Isopanishad. That's Sanskrit, Isopanishad. It actually means that knowledge which brings one nearer to the Supreme Person, Krishna. And one interesting point it makes, this is a book that we distribute, and it goes on to say that the Vedic literatures, Sri Isopanishad and the Srimad Bhagavatam, directly counters the teachings of modern science, which say that at the root of existence lies not a person, but merely abstract laws governing the chance collision of subatomic particles in the vast void of time and space. So we don't accept that. We don't believe that. We believe that at the root of existence lies a person, a supreme person, who has an eternal form of blissful knowledge, and etc. So that's just a basic point in our philosophy. So another interesting thing here, as you might have caught the sentence where it said this way of life, way of seeing the world and living in it, which is presented in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vedic literatures, was followed for thousands of years by a highly developed human civilization. So what that's implying, that is, the Vedic literatures are presenting an entirely different way of understanding history. We don't have the idea that human beings, anatomically modern human beings as we know them today, are a recent development. We don't go with Darwin's theory of evolution, that the human race or life is evolving up. We have a different picture. Our understanding is life is devolving down. Right? We don't start off as sort of lifeless chemicals that somehow or another came along and just evolved up until you get to the human form of life, and we're the pinnacle, we're the topmost intelligent and kind of creature that's existed up till this point. No, we have a different picture of history. We have a different picture of evolution. We have a different picture of the geography of the universe, or cosmography, and we have a different picture of even of ourselves. When I was saying here that, well, I think I mentioned it, that the main purpose, the main function of the Vedic literature is to give us information how we can reestablish our eternal spiritual relationship with God. When I say we, I'm referring to something more than just this body, just this flesh and bones. You see, we understand ourselves. Obviously, we have a body of flesh and bones. We're inhabiting a body of flesh and bones, but we understand ourselves as something more than just this material body. So I'm going to read again from this book, a subsection entitled The Soul. And I think it will give everybody a real good framework, of this entire philosophy, picture of reality, at least in relation to who we are. So it says here, one key feature of the Vedic worldview is that living beings are souls dwelling within bodies. The soul is called the Atma, or Jivatma, and is endowed with the faculty of consciousness. The body consists of gross matter composed of familiar physical elements, and a subtle body made of the energies known as mind, intelligence, and false ego. These energies cannot normally be detected by our current scientific instruments, and thus the established scientific view is that they do not exist. Although actually there is a lot of evidence, empiric evidence, that they do exist, but it's not accepted by mainstream science at this point, but it's out there, and you may be familiar with some of it or a lot of it, but it's there. It says, however, according to the Vedic understanding, these energies naturally interact with gross matter, and when properly controlled, they can exert a powerful influence on it. The soul and subtle body are said to transmigrate from one gross body to another, and they can also travel temporarily outside the gross body. The process of transmigration is regulated by universal laws, and there are humanoid beings involved in controlling this process. There is a natural process of evolution of consciousness whereby souls gradually attain higher and higher types of bodies. So what you just heard there was a very nice description of karma and reincarnation. So this is a multi-life process for us. As we just were hearing, we're souls. We're, at the present moment, we're inhabiting material bodies. The idea is to get free from having a material body and to transfer as enlightened souls, completely purified souls, back to the spiritual world. But until we're able to do that, until we're able to accomplish or achieve that goal, we take birth, we transmigrate from one material body to another in this material world. The type of body we get in our next lifetime is determined by the quality of our activities during this lifetime. And so in other words, everything a human being does, as kind of was referred to here, everything a human being does is being observed, evaluated, and eventually is responded to. If not sooner, definitely at the time of death, when these higher beings who are acting as representatives of the Supreme Being, Krishna, award one's next body, if you're not eligible to return to the spiritual world at that point. That's how it works. That's karma and reincarnation. So the idea is, the message of the Vedic literatures is, wrap it up. Wrap it up in this lifetime. Let's leave. Let's get out of this material world, because a material body, no matter how good a material body you have, has definitely its disadvantages. One is getting old. Another is getting sick. Another is death. These are all unpleasant, generally speaking, unpleasant, undesirable experiences. And so that's why it's encouraged in the Vedic literatures now. We have this human form of life. It's specifically meant to be an opportunity to revive our awareness of our original nature, which is completely spiritual, and understand, not just intellectually, but experientially, practically, reactivate our eternal relationship with Krishna, the Supreme Being. So that's kind of the message of the Vedic literatures. Let me just read a little bit more here. I think there's another paragraph or so. It says, at the highest level of consciousness, it is possible for the soul to become free from the subtle body and attain liberation from the material world. Well, I just was kind of talking about that a bit. Sorry. The state of liberation, or mukti, involves transfer of the soul to a completely transcendental realm. Broadly speaking, there are two forms of liberation. These are experience of Brahman, or transcendental oneness, and two, experience of variegated activity in the service of the Supreme in the spiritual planets of Vaikuntha. So those are two, as mentioned, legitimate, genuine spiritual experiences. Of the two, the latter is superior. The experience of variegated activity in the service of the Supreme in the spiritual planets of the spiritual world. And that has to do with our nature. We are persons, you know, by nature. We're not just, we are souls, but we have a personality. And according to the Vedic philosophy, we're eternally persons. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of our scriptures. It goes, Natu evaham jatu nasam natum neme janadipa nachayvana bhavishyami sarve vayam atakpadam. This is Krishna speaking to Arjuna, and he says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings. He's talking to on a battlefield just before a big war. Nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Anyway, he's making the point that we are eternally persons. It's not something that you get a personality when you get a body. You know, you have a personality because you're a human being. No, we have an eternal spiritual personality. So therefore, that first experience that was being referred to, the experience of Brahman or transcendental oneness, it doesn't satisfy us. And it's kind of like, just a really crude analogy. I like watching the sunrise, and I like just, if it's you know, the weather allows, I could stand and just kind of enjoy you know, a clear morning, the sun rising, and I could stand there and just feel good, you know, for 15, 20 minutes, half hour, and just, you know, I feel the exhilaration and energy, and it's very encouraging. But at some point I just feel like, okay, well, I want to do something, you know, or I want to share this with somebody. Sometimes I feel like that. I wish I had somebody else here to you know, to share this with, or so in other words, it's good. It's a spiritual experience, this Brahman realization, this experience of how, you know, it's all God's energy, it's oneness, but it's not fully satisfying, and therefore we need to go further than that. And as devotees of Krishna, for sure, we're striving for that second experience, which is the experience of variegated activities in the service of the Supreme Lord and the spiritual world. And then reading a little bit more. According to the Vedic philosophy, all manifestations emanate from the Supreme Being, who is known by many names, including Krishna, Govinda, Narayan, and Vishnu. The individual souls are understood to be parts of the Supreme Being and are compared to sparks within a great fire. They all share the qualities of the Supreme in a minute degree, and for this reason they are closely related to one another. The liberated souls fully display these spiritual qualities, but those who are encased in material bodies tend to display perverted qualities due to the influence of the material energy. So it's an interesting point that was being made here about we all share the qualities of the Supreme in a minute degree, and for this reason they are all closely related to one another. And yeah, so we're all part of the same spiritual family. You know, we're all spirit souls. We're all parts and parcels of the Supreme spiritual being, Krishna. And as one advances, progresses in spiritual life, one experiences that. You know, one becomes free from these, as was mentioned here, the perverted qualities which we're now being influenced by due to the material energy. And it's just like, once again, a crude analogy. Imagine you have like a point, or like let's take the sun, okay? and there's, for 360 degrees all around, you have different planets or whatever, or, points. And as they move closer to that central point, what automatically happens is, it looks like this microphone is the central point. As any 2 points move closer to the central point, they're moving closer to each other. That's the idea, see? So as we move closer to Krishna, as we advance in our spiritual life and we move closer to Krishna, we automatically feel more connection with other spirit souls, and we feel more love for them, compassion. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita goes, Vijavanaya sampane brahmani gavihastini sune chaiva swapake cha pandita samadarshana, that the humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, this knowledge that we're all part and parcel of God, he sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, like there's a very advanced human being who's like a priest, a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, a dog, an elephant, a dog eater, everybody. He sees the soul, he doesn't see the body. Okay? And he appreciates it. Well, everybody deserves an opportunity to kind of go up in life. So he doesn't, relate to them in the exact same way, but he does try to help whoever he comes in contact with move forward in their real mission in life, which is to, get closer to God. That's the vision of a spiritually awakened or a spiritually elevated person. So I'll kind of, like, my last point will be, we actually understand Jesus Christ kind of in that light. For us, Jesus Christ, and since you're all, is it correct to say call Catholics Christians? It is. Okay, so you're Christians, so of course this should be of interest to you. Our spiritual masters, my grand spiritual master, I just was listening, heard this yesterday, referred to Jesus Christ as a Shaktiyavesh avatar. So avatar means somebody who descends from the spiritual world. It could be God himself, it could be, or it could be a devotee, a pure devotee of God. And generally when they descend, it'll be on a mission, to execute a mission on behalf of God. So that's how we understand Jesus Christ. As a Shakti means empowered, and Avesh means, actually what does Avesh mean? I can't remember now. But anyway, a Shakti-Vesh avatar is a soul, a living, sorry? Form, yeah, okay, an empowered form, thank you. Right, an empowered form. So that's our understanding of Jesus Christ, that he was, we don't understand him as Krishna himself, as that being completely identical with Krishna, but as a very confidential, intimate devotee, pure devotee of Krishna, who was deputed on a mission. He came to this, from the spiritual realm to the material realm, to execute a mission which was to help people reestablish their proper eternal spiritual relationship with the Father, who for us is Krishna. And if Jesus Christ were to come back here today, we would show him the same respect as we would show Krishna. Matter of fact, if Jesus Christ came and walked in this room right now, all the devotees would immediately do like what you saw us doing earlier. We would pay what's called dandavats. Dandavats means it's a type of obeisances where you fall flat on the floor. We would do that just as we did when we had the service there, when the doors of the altar opened up. Same thing, and offer some prayers. And I know I would say, okay, Lord, how can we serve you? How can we serve you? We wouldn't just leave it at, just kind of offering some prayers. We want to know, how can we serve you? And actually, to be honest with you, about 9 months ago, I was interviewed by this man, what was his name? Ray Comfort. He's a Christian evangelist, and he kind of caught me at Cerritos College, and I said that kind of caught him. He was impressed by that when I said that in the interview. He thought that was a pretty advanced concept, that more than just offering prayers and praise and like that, we have that idea of service. That's what's very very important to us. So Yeah, that's our understanding of Jesus Christ. So there's a sense in which we see that, you know, we're all kind of like on the same page. You know, we're here. You're doing what you're doing for the same reason that we're doing what we're doing, because you're motivated. You want to perfect your relationship with God, and that's why we're doing this. And just, you know, obviously there's some differences as well in the philosophy and theology and the traditions, but in essence, we're, at least as far as that aspect goes, we're exactly doing, you know, what we're doing for an identical reason. We're motivated by we have the same motive. We're trying to come closer and, you know, reestablish our relationship with God. So I could stop there. And are there any questions or comments? Perhaps Father Clooney would like to say something, or Archita Prabhu, or anybody. Hope I said something worth. Got a microphone for you, Father.
For putting before us the Bhagavatam verse, first of all, and then for this beautiful exposition of who we are as spiritual beings. And the beautiful ending, I think, that caught us all, captivated us on Jesus as this Shakti Avesh avatar, is such a beautiful idea that we learned a lot from you today. And that sharing your comments after the worship, the kirtana, I think was very beautiful, and I think touched all our hearts. So we thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, anything? Okay, thank you very much. Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.